Whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people. Whose car are we going to take?
Oh, buddy. We have a great show coming up today. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube starting at noon Pacific or anytime you want to tune in. Yeah, I decided to do some opposition research. I was prepping for the show this morning. And usually I go on Twitter and I take a look at the things that are streaming. And I'm like, do I care about any of this stuff? And I saw boycott Target. I was like, oh, crap. What's this all about? And I clicked on it. And I saw this one woman's video, and I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing and hearing. And obviously she was really upset about what she was seeing at Target. And I was like, you know what? It's early enough. I can get my butt over to Target, which is not too far from my house, and see for myself if what this woman and all these other people that are pissed off at Target are seeing. So I have a video for you, putting a little more effort into this. So, and I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about what I found, the accusations against Target, and of course, Target's response to all the criticism. What else do we have coming up today? Kind of in the same vein, the LA Dodgers have re-invited the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. So what do you think about that re-invitation? Bud Light is trying to score points with people that were very upset about its little ad campaign, social media campaign with Dylan Mulvaney. So we'll see how that's going to pan out. Also later on this hour, Glen Kuiper, longtime broadcaster for the Oakland A's. Yep, he has been fired. No longer suspended, but fired for that racial slur that he said on air. I'll play it for you. It's like 7 seconds long. I'm kind of torn on how I feel about it. I'll play you the sound, the video, his apology. And then you guys tell me, is it enough? I mean, is it one of those things where, as many of the critics of Kuiper have been saying on social media, yeah, he showed his true self, or did his mouth betray him? And I'm not going to defend him either way. I just want to know what you guys think, because it's going to be quite. I mean, I just don't know how I feel about it. Losing a very long Glen Kuiper, I mean, iconic broadcaster, especially here in the Bay Area. I was shocked to see it. So we'll get into that. Kind of the whole free speech thing. And the Ninth Circuit has affirmed a judge's decision regarding honking your horn. How many of you are horn honkers? Do you lay on the horn? Do a tap tap? What kind of horn honker are you? Because it could get you in trouble. The San Francisco supervisors are going to be putting the city's drug problem, opioid problem, fentanyl problem on full display. And they are inviting the mayor, San Francisco Mayor London Breed, to go to the UN Plaza for the meeting today. So it's going to happen probably right at the end of my show at 2:00. So depending on when you're watching this, it may have already happened. So we'll see if she accepts that, to kind of put it on full display, the problem of drug use in the city of San Francisco. Even though I do agree to a point, but San Francisco is not the only city dealing with this. It's happening in cities all across the country. They're just on full display, and they'll always be in the headlines because there's political reasons to do so as well. But it is a serious problem. Obviously, we don't want to see people drug addicted shooting up on our streets, and especially in front of kids, right? We don't want that to happen. Speaking of kids, the Surgeon General has issued an advisory regarding something that is a mental health crisis, and that is social media. So we'll be talking about that. I literally just had a conversation last night with my children about another stupid kind of trend that's led to the death of teenagers. We'll talk about that. And then Florida is banning the poetry of an amazing young poet, and I just can't believe it. We will, of course, touch on the debt ceiling. My favorite, Congresswoman Katie Porter, explains the debt ceiling oh so well, so we'll have some video of that. You won't believe how much Marjorie Taylor Greene paid for Kevin McCarthy's used chapstick. We'll touch on that. Another Florida story. They want to bar. They're being actually sued for barring Chinese citizens from owning land. And then finally, Netflix is fulfilling its promise and cracking down on all of us password sharers. So that's all coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show. But first, as always, please, you guys, can you click the thumbs up button to show support of the show? It's right there. It's the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. It helps us out. We adore everybody that makes it a part of their habit when they click into the show. The super chat is live. Everyone knows, if you've been a longtime viewer of the Nikki Medoro Show, that you simply look for that little $sign under the live comment box or on the side of it, or you click on more and you'll see it there. And you could throw some money for a super chat, a super thanks, a super comment. And that really adds up. If you think that, your $5, your $20, whatever amount you can afford isn't much, it is, because it adds up throughout the month, and that helps keep the show on the air. And then please, I am kind of begging. This is a 100% crowdfunded show. And the only way that I can continue doing it, along with Kim, is because of subscribers to our monthly Patreon. So go to the website, our show's website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and please consider signing up to become a Medorable, which is what I call all of my Patreon subscribers. And just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. The link to the Patreon is there. You could subscribe for any amount you want. You could bump up your monthly contribution if you can afford to do so, and we really do appreciate it. You'll also find on that website links to our PayPal, the email address, of course, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com, and our merch shop, which is the nikkimedoroshop.com. So I appreciate all of you guys being here each and every day. So let's get into Target. Do I have big Target shoppers? I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid Target, right? I mean, I do not shop at Walmart. I've made that personal decision. I'm not going to boycott in front of their store. I know a lot of people go to Walmart. They could save money there. Do you? I don't shop at Walmart. I am a Target shopper. So, when I hear that there's a boycott of Target happening, I was like, okay, well, let's see what this is about. Eric says, if I'm going to boycott Target, it's going to be over its labor practices, which is one of the reasons why I boycott Walmart. But no, that's not, Eric. That's not why people are boycotting Target. They're boycotting Target because they don't like what they're selling inside their stores. So this woman, and a bunch of people actually, but I saw this one woman's TikTok, and she's basically, and I would show it to you, but I'll get dinged. She's basically railing against Target because she claims that they have created clothing. Now, this is important for toddlers and kids. So in the kids section, that, for instance, has a bathing suit. And if you look at the description, it says light binding. Okay, so it's a Pride, the rainbow color bathing suit. And when you look at the description, because, it'll tell you what it's made out of and all the features of it. And one is light binding, and then another has like this kind of tuck friendly gear. So, I'm sitting there and I'm being honest. I was like, wow, that's kind of nuts. I mean, if you're selling toddler bathing suits, right? And I'm not going to get into when you're a boy or a girl or whatever. I'm just saying it doesn't really, it seemed shocking to me. Let's just say that. It seemed shocking to me. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? Let's find out what's actually happening. Because what people do is they watch these videos on social media and they share it, and then Target's everywhere. Just go to your Target and see what's happening. And so I did. So I went into Target, and I'm going to play you my video. And this is what I found this morning at my local Target. Okay, I'm doing some opposition research here because I saw a TikTok with this woman very upset, and the hashtag boycott Target is happening because apparently there are bathing suits for toddlers that for Pride, which whatever your thoughts on that are, but that say that it has like light binding effects and you could tuck, and these are toddler bathing suits. And so I'm thinking to myself, South, is this true? So let's go find out. Really cute, I think. So I would say this is in the adult, and it's cute, but it does say these are toddler bathing suits. I don't see anything Pride related. the little bigger kid bathing suits, nothing Pride related. So it seems to me that the only Pride stuff is in one section, and I don't see anything for toddlers. They have stuff for your pets, and these bathing suits, which are made for, I would say, adults. And then as far as babies, this kind of stuff, which is adorable. Like, who has a problem with that? I mean, I don't know why people get so offended. Okay, so back in my car, basically everything you saw. So a couple of bathing suits that were obviously big for teenagers or adults did have something that said light binding effect, which I think is a great selling point if you're transgender. So what do you think? I mean, is this too far for Target? They had a lot of cute stuff though. Okay, so what did you guys think? I know the doormat was really fun. The doormat was really, really funny. I know. I realize I cannot be one of those people that just record constantly on their phone inside stores. I felt so embarrassed. I was whispering. I was taking pictures, and the funny thing is, full disclosure, I wanted to make it clear when I was recording the Pride displays that I was not opposed to it. I'm like, this is cute, because I don't want people thinking that I'm one of these, in my opinion, nutsos that are so upset about Pride displays. So what do you think? Now, I'm going to say this also. You saw, I walked around to the actual kids section that this woman and other people that are calling out Target, they're claiming they're finding these light binding, tuck friendly bathing suits, one in kid sizes, which I did not find any. Kid sizes, toddler sizes, okay? Teenagers, I mean, those are the ages in which they're becoming more vocal about who they are, right? So I don't have a problem with teenage and adult bathing suits that have this sort of feature. But it's not happening in kid and toddler bathing suits. And most importantly, all of these things were found in one specific section of the store, the Pride display store. You know what I'm talking about. For my store, it's right when you walk in. So maybe that pisses people off. But like right when you walk in, it's all Pride stuff. And then you saw the cute little onesies. Be kind. I love you for who you are. I mean, who's offended by that message? These homophobic people, in my opinion, are. It's crazy to me that they're so upset about it. And one of the videos I was seeing from this woman, she was basically saying they're Satan. You don't have any moral code. I mean, it's just, they really go down the rabbit hole of all of this. And yeah, Karen, it does. So you're saying it sounds strange if they had toddler bathing suits with light binding, or do you think that any bathing suits with light binding sound strange? But why would people be upset about it? I have no idea. The other question is, it's almost as if, and maybe tell me if I'm wrong, it's almost as if they don't even want to walk by a section that has Pride clothing and merchandise in it. Because another video I saw was a dad, and the headline was like, imagine having to walk your child past this display. Okay, continue that sentence. Like that's what he posted. And I'm like, and there's rainbows, there's colors, there's positive messaging. Where are you offended? And how many times would you, sir, have to walk by that display before it turned you gay? Because that's what I feel like these people are so afraid of. My kid's going to walk by a Target Pride display so many times that they're going to turn gay or transgender. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of their worry being. And it's amazing. I have walked past this kind of stuff my whole entire life, and I'm not gay. I just don't get it. I love the stuff though. I mean, I really do think it's cute. Pride supporter stuff would be great. I love rainbows. I don't see anything wrong with it. Yeah, exactly, Eric. Toddlers don't have anything to bind. I don't understand why this woman would think that. And in her video, and you'll see tons of them. If you Google it, you'll see TikTok video after TikTok video. But the one that I was referencing, she's holding up the same bathing suit I was looking at in my video. I'm like, that is not for toddlers or kids. I believe I was even looking at the size small. No, that is not for toddlers or kids. Unless your toddler or kid is huge, which is not a normal size. I don't think so. Exactly, Randy. If Target has something that offends you, don't buy it. And I love Natalie's. All bathing suit material is binding. That's just the material used. Exactly. I mean, maybe, if you're trying to suck in your stomach a little bit or push something up here. I mean, obviously they can construct bathing suits in certain ways that helps. But yeah, it really makes me confused that this is where they're targeting. And where is the outrage when they talk about, oh, they're groomers, they're trying to sexualize our kids? Where's the protest when it's not having to do with gay, lesbian, transgender people? When you see onesies that say, watch out, girls, and it's for a boy, or Heartbreaker, or toddler beauty pageants where they're wearing bikinis, false eyelashes, and fake teeth, where their hair is teased out and they have tons of makeup on. I mean, that's sexualizing children, but all these people don't seem to have a problem with that. It's really hypocritical to feign all of this outrage about something like this when you don't have the same outrage when children are sexualized in a more heteronormative way, let's say. It boggles my mind. Murphy asks, do people against gay people think that they, the straight people, will, quote, go to hell if they are kind and inclusive to gay people? Are they threatened, or they just don't want it around? Well, I do believe in some circles, Murphy, they truly believe as part of their religion that they have to convert people. That it's not enough for you to believe in whatever your belief system is, that you have to change other people and bring them over. Not everybody believes that way, obviously. But yeah, I think that's why people vote the way they do. I mean, if people are against, let's say, gay marriage or fill in the blank for religious reasons, and they say, because you're going to go to hell, they do it because they believe that their religion is, I'm going to speak for them, but this is my opinion, that their religion is correct. Their belief system is correct. And anybody that they know that lives otherwise, if they know about it and they know that person, then it's like they're sinning as well, or something like that, which is ridiculous. I mean, you're basically choosing to be bigoted and using a religion as your excuse when you don't have to. You're interpreting your religion that way. Because there isn't anything in the Bible that says that, or whatever. I mean, I don't know what kind of religion everyone believes in, but I feel like people choose to discriminate against others who don't believe the same way they do. Randy, wow, someone is so close to becoming gay that it only takes a couple of times to walk past some display in Target for them to become gay. Yeah, it's dripping with sarcasm, I am sure. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Ooh, good point, Harry. Should I be worried about my son walking through the women's section? Right? I mean, if you're that influenced, if your identity is so fragile, right, that you are influenced by all of these different things, then yeah, that's an excellent point. Amy, I grew up in a world made for heterosexual people and I turned out gay. The opposite won't happen either. Exactly. Yeah, Natalie. Okay, let's be real. How many women here went through that period of puberty of having breast buds, but not breasts? And it was a very self-conscious stage. Binding suits may make them more comfy. Yes. As someone that's grown up in the itty bitty titty committee, yes, you're speaking my language, Natalie. Absolutely. Absolutely. Vilma says, children can't enjoy liking a rainbow these days without being labeled as gay or trans. Pretty soon, all bathing suits will be plain and cover everything head to toe and be plain in design. Or not. I hope not. Put your kid in a rainbow bathing suit. It doesn't mean anything. And even if it does, let people believe what they want to believe. People believe what they want to believe anyway. It's not as if a bathing suit is going to stop people from judging other people. They do it all the time. Okay. And Nick, yes, there are quotes about homosexual sex, can't lay with man and all that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is, where does it say in the Bible that if you allow people, let's say, to dress their kids in rainbow bathing suits, you're going to hell? That's my point. It's the Bible. And again, let's not take the Bible so literally to discriminate against people, and not literally in places, in instances that would apply to you. Okay. Let's just be even handed if we're going to do something like that. Vilma says the issue is putting politics and religion into clothes, or just leaving space. So Target CEO has is defending the pride displays and the clothes. His name is Brian Cornell. He was asked about the backlash to quote unquote woke capitalism. And he says, everything from obviously Bud Light, Disney, Target. Cornell said, I think those are just good business decisions, and it's the right thing for society and is a great thing for our brand. This is what he also said. He says, the things we've done from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint is adding value. It's helping us drive sales. It's building greater engagement with both our teams and our guests. And those are just the right things for our business today. And again, a spokesperson for Target told the Associated Press that the tuck-friendly swimsuits are only offered in adult sizes. The kids collection does not feature the label, which is exactly what I found when I went this morning to Target. Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. So, Kim, I went to Target this morning.
Oh.
And well, let's show the video again. It's very quickly, just because Kim's just joining us now. And the reason I went to Target is because I was seeing a lot of, hashtag boycott Target things, and I go to Target a lot. I was like, what the hell is the problem? And they're upset about the fact that this woman and others are claiming that bathing suits for kids and toddlers have light binding features and are tuck friendly. It says it on the card. And so instead of taking these people's words for it, I decided to walk my butt down to Target and see for myself. And so here again is the video that I took this morning of my opposition research.
Okay, I'm doing some opposition research here because I saw a TikTok with this woman very upset, and the hashtag boycott Target is happening because apparently there are bathing suits for toddlers that for Pride, which whatever your thoughts on that are, but that say that it has like light binding effects and you could tuck, and these are toddler bathing suits. And so I'm thinking to myself, Self, is this true? So let's go find out.
Really cute, I think. So I would say this is in the adult. And it's cute. But it does say these are toddler bathing suits. I don't see anything Pride related. A little bigger kid bathing suits, nothing Pride related. So it seems to me that the only Pride stuff is in one section, and I don't see anything for toddlers. They have stuff for your pets, and these bathing suits, which are made for, I would say, adults. And then as far as babies, this kind of stuff, which is adorable. Like, who has a problem with that? I mean, I don't know why people get so offended.
Okay, so back in my car, basically everything you saw. So a couple of bathing suits that were obviously big for teenagers or adults did have something that said light binding effect, which I think is a great selling point if you're transgender. So what do you think? I mean, is this too far for Target? They had a lot of cute stuff though.
So there you go. I mean, nothing for toddlers and kids. The toddler section had nothing even Pride related. It was all relegated to the Pride display and nothing of the size of toddler and kids.
When you say light binding effect, do you mean like trying to squeeze the breast down?
So that's what I would assume. I didn't try on the bathing suits. But Natalie, I think it was making a good point. Like, bathing suit material is binding. But I would assume maybe a little tighter. I would equate it, and this is just what I think, the tummy, stomach control. The bathing suits where they put.
I know them well. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that is maybe more across the breast. Exactly. And then the tucking, I don't know, maybe a pocket I have no idea. But again, it was for the bigger bathing suits. It was not for little kids. It was definitely not for toddlers. And I feel
Why
like
did
they're
that lady
making a bigger issue.
why did that lady say that? Like, why would you go on social media or wherever and say, "Oh, they're, transgender
'Cause I
toddler
don't think they're
suits."
like the
Like, what?
pride display at all. I think
Mm,
that that's the problem is they saw, she even held up, like one of the TikToks I saw, she was holding up the same bathing suit I showed in that video. And I'm like, that is not a kid's bathing suit.
mm-mm.
It is not. It's too big. And now if you're talking teenagers,
Well,
I mean, we can get into that, but
teenagers can wear grown-up sizes anyway.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Mhm.
if you're talking about, just not discovering it, I don't like that word, but kind of expressing who you are, oftentimes that happens, right? During your teenage years.
Right.
And so if that's what she has a problem with, then that's just, you don't want anybody to be anything but cisgender, in my opinion. Do you think that you think Target's going too far? Do you think they're
No.
gonna get backlash a bit like
No.
the Bud Light thing?
You know what? If people go into Target and buy those things, they will know they have made the right choice.
Yeah,
They will know that, okay, our customers want this. Great. Done.
exactly.
If you don't
Exactly.
want it, don't buy it.
And what business doesn't, I mentioned this before, what business doesn't want to expand its customer base? If you,
Hmm.
for instance, are trying to appeal to a certain demographic, you're going to be like, oh, what does this demographic want, need, and desire? And I will try to fill that hole so that you keep coming to Target. You can come to Target for your cisgender clothes. You can come to Target for your transgender clothes. You can come to Target for anything and anything that you want. That's what Target wants to be to every single customer. They don't want to alienate people. And again, if you're alienated because other people are buying bathing suits that you would never wear, the problem is you, not Target.
Yeah. As I often say, keep your eyes on your own paper.
Exactly.
You do
Uh,
you. Don't bother
Karen
anybody
writes
else.
in, people with evil minds will say anything to make their point because they know a lot of people will believe it without actually checking it out. Exactly. And that's why I wanted to go to Target. I was sitting here and I was like, this cannot be true. I even started my Google, like I went online to Target store and I was like, okay, well, what are we talking about here? And I couldn't find any toddler or kid bathing suits, but I wanted to be sure. That's my commitment to the Nikki Medoro Show. So I went this morning to check it out. And I find them to be so cute. The clothes are, and did you see the stuff that was made for kids and toddlers? The little jumper that says "Be kind" with a rainbow.
Yeah.
You're offended by that? Like, I don't understand. I
And
really,
that's
really
why I shop at Target and not at Walmart.
exactly. I don't shop at Walmart either. Although everybody in my comment, we're having a kind of a debate about Walmart and Target. But you guys do you. I am not one. Like, you want to shop at Walmart, we'll still be friends. You know what I mean? So
I'm
do
just not
whatever you
going.
want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other funny thing that kind of goes along the same vein, Target's getting the backlash. Bud Light apparently is offering a rebate that will basically make, if you purchase a 15 pack, which is a weird number, but a 15 pack of Budweiser beer this Memorial Day weekend, you'll basically get it for free. So through May 31st, beer drinkers can get up to a $15 rebate on the purchase of Budweiser, Bud Light, Budweiser Select, and Budweiser Select 55 in a 15 pack or larger. It'll be in the form of a digital prepaid card. It's the equivalent to the purchase price up to $15. And a quick check reveals Target is selling a 15 pack of Bud Light for $13.99. So you can get it for free. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to drum up a little sales because of the backlash, but it's going to blow over. Believe me, beer drinkers, oftentimes, not all the time, creatures of habit. You're like, I'm going to boycott it until I want to drink my favorite beer again. And if your favorite beer is Bud Light, you're drinking Bud Light again. I don't care what you say. You're definitely doing that. It's just, and I don't think that that's a given. I think it's a good selling point, and it's Memorial Day weekend, and people are going to be drinking a lot of beer, a lot of beer. The Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. There's another update to this. They've been reinvited to the LA Dodgers Pride Night. They have the LA Dodgers officially reinvited the Los Angeles chapter of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to their LGBTQ plus Pride Night, and the sisters have accepted, and they reversed their decision after they got feedback from diverse communities and felt the backlash. Yeah. So this is what the LA Dodgers said with their re-invitation, of course. After much thoughtful feedback from our diverse communities, honest conversations within the Los Angeles Dodgers organization, and generous discussions with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, the Los Angeles Dodgers would like to offer our sincerest apologies to the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, members of the LGBTQ community, and their friends and family. We've asked the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence to take their place on the field for our 10th annual LGBTQ plus Pride Night on June 16th. We're pleased to share they have agreed to receive the gratitude of our collective communities.
I thought that was cool. They actually said yes.
They said yes. And you know what I also like? I like that the Dodgers led with the apology. Like, we're sorry. Of course, there's backlash, from people that liked the fact that the LA Dodgers did not rescinded the original invitation. But we just got to stop. Like, if you don't want to see the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence at a baseball game, don't go to that baseball game. It's being upset about things that I feel it's because you don't identify with it. Right?
I always want to see the Sisters of Perpetual
Indulgence.
There's
I feel like people that are upset, they've never seen them, right? They've never seen them and they have no idea. And it is what it is. So, I'm glad that they reversed course and did that. But I can only imagine. I keep my fingers crossed that nothing bad happens, that there's not so much attention on this one night that it's going to bring out a lot of protesters and just ruin what should be a nice celebration with some absolute nonsense. Yeah. Okay. We'll take a quick break for Kim's news. When we come back, we'll talk about Glen Kuiper, who's been officially fired, which I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'm going to play you the sound of what he said. I'll play you his apology as well. And then you tell me if it's enough. Did he make a mistake? Are people not allowed to fumble their words if that's what you believe it is? Or do you like, no, that slipped out because that guy says it? Which is what a lot of people are saying as well. How many of you honk your horn all the time? Well, it is not protected speech. And the circuit has affirmed that decision, which, I could kind of flip-flop on how I feel about that. In what situations do you honk your horn, and do you think that it is overused? We'll talk about the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco inviting the mayor to a meeting today to highlight the opioid epidemic. They want to do it outside so you can see it up close and personal. We're going to talk about social media and the Surgeon General warning and a thing called chroming. Have you heard of chroming, Kim McAllister?
No, what's that?
Well, it's a new warning you got to talk to your kids about so they don't end up to be a stupid statistic about a stupid ass trend. We'll update the debt ceiling. We just have a bunch of stuff coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show. But first, some headlines with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And we will begin with the debt negotiations, because here is how it looks today. Every step of the way, there's a new development. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he is not at all close to a deal with the White House on lifting the nation's debt limit. He told reporters today, though, it's still possible a deal could come before June 1st. The Treasury Secretary estimates the U.S. could default on its debt sometime in early June. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is expected to launch his presidential bid during a Twitter chat with Elon Musk. Here's DeSantis and Trump, good buddies that they are. Multiple reports say the Republican hopeful will formally announce his bid tomorrow in a conversation with Musk. Analysts say the political pairing comes as no surprise, given DeSantis' feud with Disney and Musk's sharp criticism of corporate media. And it is shaping up to be a very busy weekend when it comes to the Memorial Day weekend. More than 40 million Americans are expected to travel for the holiday weekend, traditionally marking the start of the summer season. The Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, says his agency is now working to minimize travel disruptions amid ongoing an air traffic controller shortage. So he says he thinks everything is going to be okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. There is a story out of Washington, D.C. that is pretty concerning. This happened, I believe, yesterday. And this is a 19-year-old Missouri man accused of crashing a U-Haul truck near the White House last night. Witnesses say he rammed into the barriers on the north side of Lafayette Square twice just before 10 p.m. local time. Police arrested the suspect, say he made threatening statements about the White House. He had some racist or Nazi paraphernalia on him as well. And so that was a concern. His name is Sal Candula. He is now under arrest. San Francisco, we've got a startup using AI to help homeowners detect wildfires moments after they start. The 23-year-old founder of something called Torch Sensors is saying the small solar-powered device that's mounted outside uses sensors and artificial intelligence to help detect a fire moments after it starts. An app would send an alert to your phone if fire is spotted. Torch Sensors is scheduled to roll out to the public in the fall at about $300. That might be worth it. And of course, the NFL announcing yesterday the 49ers Levi Stadium in Santa Clara will be the host site for Super Bowl 60 in 2026. Governor Gavin Newsom said in a statement, California is proud to play host when the big game returns to the Bay Area. He is congratulating all of those who worked so hard on this big event. Here's a picture of Levi Stadium all decked out in Americana. Yeah, he says, congratulations to everyone who worked to bring this event back to Northern California and the millions of dollars it means for the local economy and the workers as well. The Bay Area was the stage for San Francisco's second of their 5 Super Bowl wins. The 49ers defeated the Miami Dolphins in 1985 at Stanford Stadium. Do you think when the Super Bowl is held in a particular city, that makes that team fight for it that much more that year? Like the 49ers would just love to have the Super Bowl at home.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why I'm wearing my Niner gear. I'm trying to put some good energy into the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice, but it's not necessarily going to happen that way. You'd love for it to happen that way, but yeah, I would love to, but I still wouldn't go to the stadium. It'd just be cool that my team's in it and it's at home. That's just
right.
That would just be so awesome.
This report is crowdfunded, and that means we rely on you. So if you would like to go to the website, check out the Patreon, the PayPal links. It is the Nikki Medoro Show.com. Oh, and the super chat is live. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. All right. So yes, please support us, support our Patreon, the NikkiMedoroShow.com. And of course, yes, the super chat is live if you want to throw us a few dollars during the show. Okay. So kind of keeping it in the sports vein, Glen Kuiper, longtime broadcaster for the Oakland A's. He was caught saying something during a live broadcast that is a racial slur. Now I'm going to play it for you. So brace yourselves, people. It's a 6-second clip that I'm going to play for you right now. I hope I don't get dinged for it, but whatever. I guess you guys tell me in the comments what you think.
We had a phenomenal day today. Nigger League Museum and Arthur Bryant's Barbecue.
Okay. Did you hear it? Okay. So he meant to say the Negro
League. Yeah.
He said the N-word. Okay. All right. So what should be done? Well, he was suspended, and now it's come out today that he has officially been terminated. According to NBC Sports California, Kuiper no longer employed. He's been suspended since the internal review began. They said, following an internal review, the decision has been made for NBC Sport California to end its relationship with Glen Kuiper, effective immediately. We thank Glen for his dedication to Bay Area baseball over the years. Now, right after that happened, right after he said what he said right there, he did apologize. Yeah. And here's my question to you. Is it nobody could ever make a mistake if it's caught on broadcast? Here is, and this is thanks to Joe Hughes. This is his apology, Glen Kuiper, the same game. Come on, Glenn.
Welcome back to
There you go.
Kauffman. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. I just wanted to, a little bit earlier in the show, I said something didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to, and I just wanted to apologize if it sounded different than I meant it to be said.
So that's his apology. Is that enough? I mean, see, Donna is horrible. Glad he's been terminated. Okay.
I listened to it over and over again when the day it happened.
Right.
Because this is something that, I don't know, it's like my worst nightmare, where what I mean to say is not what comes out. Right. A slip of the tongue, you stumble over something and all of a sudden you've said something horrifying. Not even a word that's in your mind or your everyday repertoire, but because you stumbled over something, it sounds, there is no mistaking that he used the N-word there. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, he did not say Negro. He didn't say anything even close to Negro.
But I tried saying that fast.
Okay.
Negro League. And if you say it really fast, I could see how you could stumble over it and it could actually sound like it. It's a nightmare word. The whole sentence was like, oh, what he was saying though, if you look in the context, is we had a great day at this museum featuring the accomplishments and the highlights of African-American baseball players. So the context was we had a great day doing this. You don't think someone who's saying, we enjoyed this,
right,
this museum is going to come out with the N-word. So I do believe it was a stumble, a verbal stumble, but I knew the minute I heard it, he's fired. Did you?
Oh, you did.
The first thing I'm like, he's gone. And my husband's like, no, it was a stumble. I'm like, nope, he's gone. That's it.
Well, and that's why I'm bringing it up is you have to believe that, in my opinion, if it was a stumble, it was a stumble, and learn from it, suspend him for a few games or whatever. But to fire him, in my opinion, means that you believe he purposely said it, that there is something in him in which he purposely said it. So that seems quite the jump, in my opinion. I don't think that and I don't know Glen Kuiper. I don't know him. Yowza says that was no accident. He has said that plenty of times. Whether he has friends that he feels comfortable saying it around, it makes no difference. So there's a significant, and I've heard that before. People say, no, that word only comes out of your mouth because you've said it before. Right. It lives. It's a memory. It's like muscle memory. Right. And so, and I don't know, but that's the only thing I could believe that would make the firing justified, is that you truly believe that that's who Glen Kuiper is. Because if you don't, then people aren't allowed to make, stumbles when they speak. And we're in broadcasting.
Yeah.
There's so many times I've said the wrong thing. Right.
And how bad's it going to be?
Exactly. Right? Yeah. And so are we not allowed to make any sort of mistake? And if you're like, okay, even if it was a mistake, he should still be fired. Yeah. It's quite harsh. Or am I wrong? Am I missing something here? John says it could just be a mistake, but a lot of people won't see it that way and the company could be damaged. I brought this story up simply because what we were talking about before Kim's news, some companies don't care about the criticism that they get. They stand by their business decisions. Obviously, nobody wanted to stand by Glen Kuiper. Nobody wanted to be like, look, I know this guy. It was a stumble, right?
There's a difference between a lot of other bad words you could say.
True.
People have been fired for the F word, but when you talk about the worst thing you could possibly say, I'm going to go down as saying it's the N word. So it was just a hell of a slip of the tongue.
Yeah, it was the worst thing to say.
It was the worst one. And so, sayonara, sucker.
Perry Joe says if he had apologized immediately, it could be forgiven. I think you mean like literally when it came out of his mouth, because obviously he apologized when they came back from a break. So if I would have said N-word, I'm like, oh my God, I did not.
Right.
But at the same time, you can't go back in time. Right. And so.
No, but if you self-correct in that moment, but I don't think he even realized it came out at that moment. I think if you look on his co-host's face, it's like, but if you look at him, he just kind of kept on. Like it's one of those things.
Like he didn't even hear himself say it.
No, it's because it's not what was in his brain. He didn't intend.
So if he would have said the N-word and then just said Negro, I mean to say Negro, like something like that, would you?
It's a hard one. I think once that N word's out of your mouth, it's party over.
That sucks. I mean,
I know.
that N word does not come out of my mouth, right? It just
No,
does not come
never.
out of my mouth. Even if I'm alone in the car and there's a song on, it does not come out of my
Never.
mouth.
Nope. If you don't want it to come out, then you don't
don't
even
say
give it
it.
any residence, right? Right.
So Judy says, now that I saw the clip, I can give my opinion. I definitely heard the N-word, but I do think he mispronounced it. However, I am not surprised he got fired because you can't let go. Beth says, no, even the president of the NLHOF said it was an honest mistake. He met the two announcers during their visit and could tell how thrilled they were.
Yeah. Yeah, the director of the Negro League Museum, was saying, no, they had a great time. I showed them around. They were awesome. No, he doesn't think that it was purposeful, but it doesn't matter because you said the N-word a lot live on the air. And now imagine if they had let him keep his job and all the people that have said, oh, so it's okay for him to say the N-word on the air. That's okay. My kid heard that. Right.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. It's just, again, what do you believe the intention was? Because again, if it was a mistake, are we saying we can never make mistakes? Any mistake that you make live on air gets you fired? Even if everybody is sitting around like, yeah, I didn't mean to say it, but his mouth, did it. John says sometimes we slip up. Exactly. Yep. So, because which way do we want to live where no mistakes can be made if it's on air, on TV, on the radio, whatever, or we can forgive people and again, forgive them for making a mistake. It's so difficult. It's really difficult to know, but the decision's been made. Glen Kuiper out, which I don't know. It surprises me. I am really surprised.
Not surprised. That word is it's toxic. That's the one word. Don't ever say it. Worse than the F word. Don't ever say it.
An F-bomb. Wes claims that I dropped the F-bomb on air.
No.
I mean, I was definitely one of the people that pushed the envelope on things that you could say. Definitely. I'll give you that. But I don't think I've ever said the F word. I would love to. That's my favorite cuss word, as you guys know. There's no purpose for me to say it on the radio. You'd have to find that sound, Wes. You'd have to find that sound. And then we'd have to be able to listen to it. We'd have to have judges, fair, independent judges, to see if I actually said it, but I don't know. I don't know if I would.
So I feel like, you're talking about slip ups and mistakes. And the thing is, this is supposed to be what we are best at. Saying what we mean in a clear, concise way, being good communicators. Oh, you're muted. And so
you're broadcasters, what I said, yes.
Okay, and yeah, we're broadcasters. That's our job. A neurosurgeon makes a mistake. It's a big deal. A broadcaster makes a mistake. We come back with a correction. We're going to screw up eventually, right? But we all know the big mistakes not to make. Like this is, we're not playing around. We're in a major market. We get it. We were. You are. I'm not. But we were, right? And so I feel like he has to be held to a higher standard. He can't be doing that.
That's a good point. It's like we hire you to say the things clearly, concisely, and not put us in this position. And you put us in this position.
And so that's hard. Or you don't.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's a good point. I mean, I get it.
At it. Yeah.
Natalie says, I think his employer was obligated to investigate what coworkers hear he says privately and consider how the victims want to proceed. Yeah, I don't know. I do believe it was an accident. Watching the clip it doesn't reek to me. I mean to say this is a dog whistle. Like, why would you want to say it unless you want to put yourself, in the graces of a certain type of person, right? I don't think that he would want to jeopardize and now lose a very long career in broadcasting just to say the N-word. RJ says, I think each occupation has their own unforgivables. I'm a chef. Even if I accidentally feed a peanut to someone who specifically said they're allergic and they die, I should be fired. That's a great analogy. RJ. Yeah. That makes more sense to me. I mean, nobody died, of course, but
no. I mean,
It was
you
a
have
mistake.
like
Yeah.
if a neurosurgeon makes a mistake, it's a big deal, right?
Right. Like I didn't
It's
mean
not.
to kill you, but
Yeah,
you still died.
our mistakes are
So
a little less, but
yeah.
still, we've got a job to do. We got to be professionals about it.
That's a good
And
point. You've
he
convinced me,
knew.
RJ. Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. That absolutely does make sense to me. I just, it just sucks that mistakes like that can cost somebody a very long career. And again,
It's
I
a
don't know Glen
bummer.
Kuiper. He's not a friend. I don't know him from
No, but
Adam.
I don't
I just
I don't
know
think
of him. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
He's
think he meant it. I just think it was one of those
yeah.
horrible moments where you tripped over it the very wrong way.
Right. All right. Well, it's kind of a different type of speech we'll be talking about now. Honking your car horn. Now, here's the thing. Honking your horn has kind of it's not necessarily only used when you want to warn somebody, right? Of something. Hold on, I had a picture up. Hold on. I'm going to show you this because you've seen these. You're driving around, especially nowadays. Honk for peace. Honk if you support the sports team. Honk for this. Honk for that. Honk if you support the teachers' protest. Honk if you support the writers' strike.
Mm-hmm.
Honk, 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 honk. Well, is it protected speech? The Ninth Circuit has upheld a prior ruling saying no, stop honking your horn. So there's a California law that's 112 years old, and it prohibits drivers from honking their horns except to warn motorists or pedestrians. And it applies to drivers who beep in support of, let's just say, like a political protest on the street. Now, the reason this came up is there was a woman who was cited because she was honking her horn back in 2017. Her name's Susan Porter, and she was pulled over by a San Diego County Sheriff deputy after honking 14 times while I don't know who started counting, but while driving past a demonstration outside the office of Congressman Darrell Issa, protesting his support of President Trump. Now, the ticket was dismissed because the cop never showed up to the court hearing. But Porter filed a lawsuit claiming it was a violation of her free speech. Like, I am expressing myself with said horn. But a judge has ruled, and the Ninth Circuit has now upheld that no, the horn is not to be used except for traffic safety warnings.
Yeah.
And the state was entitled to decide all non-safety honks, including those in support of protests. What do you think?
Or when you get really pissed off.
Laying on that horn. How many horn layers do we have? Do you honk your horn a lot, Kim?
Different kinds of driving. So I never honk in Petaluma. First of all, there's somebody I know nearby. I'm not going to be that guy. But it's a different, like, stress-free kind of atmosphere. In San Francisco, I'll honk at you. You don't go, I'm honking.
Yeah.
Right?
How long do you wait before you honk at somebody? Like if you're at a light and they don't go?
In the city, pretty quick. Yeah. In Petaluma, never. I'll sit there for 3 cycles of lights. I will not honk at you.
Oh, you're crazy.
No, we don't honk in Petaluma. We're very polite. We don't do that to each other.
So it's fake because you're rude in San Francisco. So you're just faking in Petaluma. Okay.
That's city driving. That's city driving. That's a whole different thing.
Hold on. Kay in Santa Rosa says, I hate the honk if you blank signs. It causes a problem. Donna honks and flips the bird on the daily. Donna, I think we're twins. No, I don't flip the bird. You know what I do? Most of the things I do, people can't see. So if I was going to, like, for instance, if I was going to flip somebody off, I flip them off underneath my wheel. Like, I'm just like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like shaking my fist or doing some sort of gesture. Not necessarily. Now, not always. I would be lying if I said I've never flipped anybody off in traffic. Okay. I would be lying if I said that. But kind of like you, Kim, especially if I'm in my actual neighborhood.
Yeah.
I gotta be careful. I told you, people are crazy out here. A guy got out of his car. I don't even know what I did wrong, but I wasn't going to roll my window down to find out. I am what you would call an offensive driver. Like, as in, like,
offensive? Okay.
I'm not a defensive driver. So, and maybe I have that backwards. I am a merger. I am somebody that goes. I am actively participating in driving.
You're on the offense.
If you are not actively participating, if you're not actively participating in driving, you're aggravating me, right? So I just don't understand people like that. Now, honking my horn, I'll tell you this, and this is San Jose is no Petaluma. But if I am at a light and someone doesn't go, I have a habit that I do. And I go 1, 2, 1 more, and I count to 3. And then if you don't, I give you a little tap tap. Doop, doop.
And what's interesting is there's different styles of honks.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like if you're really pissed off, there's a like you lay it on.
Oh, I lay on it.
But if somebody's on their cell phone and you know they're looking down and you can see exactly what's happening,
Right.
there's a like it's not even a half a honk. It's just a little oop, like,
Yeah.
a little oop, yeah.
You
So I mean, is it different? Is that really honking at someone? No, that's just a little hey, light screen, let's go.
You want to know my other trick that I do? So if people like next to me, they don't know where the horn honking is necessarily coming from because we're all stuck in traffic. I'll honk the horn with my elbow so my hands will be free so they won't necessarily know that it's me. I go, just do that. I go, I don't know who's honking their
There's a
horn right
phantom
now.
honk.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I get the need for horn honking, but somebody else was making a great point. Look, it's supposed to alert. If you keep honking your horn at every little thing, no one's going to pay attention. I remember I was so I had to be in high school because I believe I think I was still like a senior in high school. And I was driving my car and I'm in a parking lot. Okay. So, and it's around, so it's one of those parking lots where you have to kind of go around in front of the stores. And I'm making the turn and I'm going this way. And there's a car coming the opposite direction, but they're turned around. They're driving. Their car is literally moving forward. Now we're going maybe 10 miles per hour, less than that. We're in a parking lot, right? And I'm turning the corner and I'm looking at this guy and he is not looking forward. He's looking to the side, but still going. And so I'm laying on my horn.
Yeah.
Like, hey. And he just smashes right into the front of my car.
That's what a horn is made for.
I was so pissed. It even embarrasses me to say this story right now. I literally got out of my car and read this guy the riot act. And he's looking at me. And I am so hysterically yelling at this guy because I was about to sell my car. And I was in high school and and I'm like, oh my God, now I got to fix it first. And what's this going to cost me and all. And I lost my mind. I was very hot headed. Like I still am. But yeah, I was losing my mind. I lost my crap so badly. I'm not even kidding. In front of this market that we always used to go to, that to this day, I think it's still open and it's the same owners. To this day, every time I would go, even as an adult, and I'm talking decades, I will walk in there and he will point to me and he will start laughing because he knows that I lost my crap. And I'm like, I know, man. I know, because we would always go in as kids. I'm like, I know. It's like, you got angry that one time. I'm like, you hit my friggin' car, man. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're honking your horn, you're screaming, you're yelling out of the window, and nobody's paying the attention. And so it does no good if you overuse the horn. It makes no sense. Absolutely. Yeah, Eric, honking too much is creating a public nuisance like the blank who honks at 6:30 outside the apartment to get someone to come out. Yeah. Everybody.
Or using a horn as a anti-car theft device.
Oh God, it's so nobody pays attention to it anymore. I mean, I hear a car alarm going off. I go, sucks to be us that has to listen to that. No one's checking. Nobody's making sure that nobody's stealing the car, right? Ellen says on the DMV exam, it states you can get a ticket for honking unless as a necessary warning to avoid a collision. Yeah. I mean, I could argue if I was that woman, that Susan Porter woman, I could argue that I was honking to alert my fellow drivers that there's all these people standing on the side of the road and to watch out for them. I would be lying, but you know. Justin says, I almost installed a fancy horn with multiple different sounds, an angry beep, a nice beep, a happy beep, a thank you beep. I thought it would be fun. Yeah, there's different ones. Didn't the Teslas used to have something attached to the horn where it would talk or do something?
They have a whole sound system.
I thought they would do that.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and Floyd's absolutely correct. I think they were saying, don't piss Nikki off. I mean, I'm telling you people, when I lose my crap, I remember I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time. He was my boyfriend at the time, but he was totally trying to calm me down. He's like, Nikki. And I was like, no, I was like, not having it once. I was so pissed. I was so mad. Amy, I drive professionally in San Francisco. People don't stop at signs. Cars almost always hit bikes and scooters. I'm honking half of my day. Yeah. And you can't get a ticket for that.
Yeah.
You
And
can't.
that's different though when you're in more of a laid back environment than city driving. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
city driving, you need your horn all the time. There's people merging and coming in and out and blah blah blah. But in
Mhm.
a more relaxed environment, if someone honks in Petaluma, everyone on the road is looking around like, what's
Who
going on?
But that's
Who's
actually
honking?
good though. You're proving the point. It's like
Right.
there's so little honking that when a honker is there, you're like, who is honking? Who is
Yeah.
making that loud sound in our pretty Petaluma? Yeah. There's so many ways I would like to communicate with other drivers. Because you just want to, and not necessarily in an offensive, I want to yell and scream and cuss you out kind of way. Just can you please pay attention? Can you please stop doing X, Y, and Z? You have something dragging underneath your car. Those sorts of things. But I will say this: I have gotten better, not completely, but I've gotten better in my older age.
A little.
A little. And so
Yeah.
sometimes, like for instance, it wasn't too long ago. Somebody's back. Oh, I was behind like a box truck, and
Okay.
I was on Highway 17. This was like 2 weeks ago. I was on Highway 17, and the back doors were open, and they were swinging, and there was stuff that could literally, it wasn't secured all the way down, roll out into
Yeah.
traffic. And I got
They
next
need
to
to
that. I'm
know.
like,
Yeah.
your back is open. And so those sorts of things. And he's like, oh, thank you. Another person, the blinker drives me nuts. If there was anything that I could tell people, like,
Yeah.
your blinker's been on for 15 miles. Can you turn it the F off, please? It's driving me nuts.
I love what Lori was saying though. She wants a megaphone to yell at
Yes.
people.
Or
Get out of the
I
way,
want,
stupid. Yeah.
or I want one of those, and I think that they were deemed, because I feel like there was a moment where they were popular. Those little message signs, those digital message signs on
Yeah.
your window. But I think it was deemed to be a hazard, a driving hazard, because it was a distraction. But something like that, like, dude.
How do you tell people
Mhm.
their lights are off at night without, like, so I'll flash my lights
Yeah,
at
but that's not,
people.
you're not supposed to do that, right? You're not
Well,
supposed
how
to
do you
flash your
get
high
people to
beams.
know, like, turn your lights on, you're gonna get pulled over, or people can't see you, you're gonna get in a
I
crash.
know. You know what I do? I just drive the hell away from them because I'm scared. There have been
Yeah.
times driving home from San Francisco, especially like it'll be in the rain or the middle of the night, and there's someone coming up. I did not see them. They're
Yeah.
completely a dark car.
No.
I go, you're gonna get
I'm
hit,
like
and then
making
you're
the
gonna
hand
wonder.
signal, lights.
And they're like, what is this woman doing?
I look like a
Exactly.
crazy lady. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, Natalie says, flash your lights 7 times. That's supposed to be the signal.
Is that it?
Does anyone
Natalie,
remember
you're gonna have me flashing 7 times. You have a good laugh over that one.
There was a old wife. I don't know. It's not an old wife. So it was like a thing, the story that we would tell each other, like, you can't flash your high beams at cars because it was like gang related. And so then you would get shot. Did anyone ever hear that story? That if you flashed your high beams at a car that didn't have their lights on, they'd
That's
come
a
after
new
you
one.
and they'd shoot you.
Mm-mm.
No, just me growing up in my neighborhood, I guess. I don't know. That's what I heard. I heard growing up, that's why you didn't do it. Is because it was like a signal about something. But yeah. Just don't honk your horn unnecessarily. It's bad for all of us. Okay, so later today, and I believe it's at 2:00 today, the San Francisco Board of Supervisors want to have a meeting. Their weekly, monthly meeting, whatever. They want to have an outdoor meeting in the UN Plaza. And the reason why they want to do it, and they've invited Oakland Mayor London Breed to it, is they want to highlight the opioid problem. One, do you think that the mayor is not aware of this? Is this grandstanding, or is this something that we need to constantly do? I like the idea of bringing politicians, city leaders, county leaders to the area where there's a problem so they can't say they don't know. But I really don't feel like the mayor doesn't know. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Also, we talk to our kids all the time about drugs and not doing drugs. But what about social media? So the Surgeon General's come out with another warning surrounding social media. And also, when we come back, I will tell you, even though I think one of you already announced what it was, chroming. I had to sit my kids down yesterday. They roll their eyes at me. They say, "Ugh, what is this new warning that you're obsessing about?" But I talked to my kids about chroming. And again, even though it sounds stupid, there's a reason why there's warning labels on all sorts of things. It's because people do it. So we'll talk about all that after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And let us begin with, I want to say anniversary. We'll mark a day of sorts. Tomorrow will be 1 year since the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. It's where a gunman took the lives of 19 children and 2 teachers inside of a 4th grade classroom. The criminal investigation over the hesitant police response, hesitant is being kind, to that shooting is still ongoing. The TSA is advising travelers allow some extra time heading to the airports around the country this weekend. The summer travel season starts Friday with the start of Memorial Day weekend. More than 2.6 million travelers are expected to go through security checkpoints that day alone. Final approval being given to a new red flag law. Yay! This one in Michigan with the signature of Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Let me take the Uvalde picture off. And that is because Michigan becomes now the 2nd state in a week after Minnesota to enact this law to keep guns away from people deemed to be at risk of hurting others or themselves. So now a red flag law in Michigan and one in Minnesota as well. A Louisville man is being accused of shooting his roommate over food on Sunday. Police have arrested 64-year-old Clifton Williams, who they say shot his roommate after he ate the last Hot Pocket. The roommate was taken to the hospital with injuries described as non-life-threatening, and Williams has been charged with assault. Caitlyn Jenner speaking out against transgender teens participating in sports. It comes after a California-based trans athlete named Athena Ryan finished in 2nd place in the varsity girls 1,600-meter run finals on Saturday in the sectional meet of champions. Jenner took to Twitter writing, "This is wrong," in all caps. The messages on WhatsApp will soon be able to be edited after they are sent. Godsend for those of us with the fat fingers. But those edits have to come within 15 minutes. The Meta-owned company plans to roll the feature out within the coming weeks. And could be goodbye to LeBron James. He may be ready to call it a career after the Los Angeles Lakers got eliminated from the NBA playoffs by the Denver Nuggets last night. He told ESPN he's got a lot to think about. The 38-year-old has 1 season left on his contract with the Lakers. This show is crowdfunded, and of course, that means we rely on you. You can check out the Patreon and PayPal links at thenikkimedoroshow.com. And of course, the Super Chat is live. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, please consider, you guys, donating to our Patreon. It's that monthly income that we need to continue to keep the show going. So again, just go to the website. You can find the PayPal links, all different sorts of ways to support the show. But again, the best way, if you guys can either start or up your donation, is to become a Medorable on our Patreon, thenikkimedoroshow.com. And of course, the Super Chat is live. If you want to throw us a Super Chat, a super sticker, super thanks, we really appreciate it, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. Okay, so I do understand the frustration when you, let's say, visit a place like San Francisco and you continually see the problems of drug use, homelessness, fill in the blank, and you don't feel like people in charge are listening. You're like, what can we do to get their attention? What I find interesting this time, though, it's the San Francisco Board of Supervisors who are inviting Mayor London Breed to attend an outdoor meeting. I want to play you a little bit of this news report from our friends over at KTVU regarding kind of the reasoning behind this.
It's easy to see how the opioid crisis is impacting the city. At times, UN Plaza is teeming with illicit drug sales and use. And that is why the president of the Board of Supervisors, Aaron Peskin, wants to meet with Mayor London Breed here to ask hard questions about how the city will tackle the opioid crisis.
It is time for us to come together as the city, for the board to hold the chief executive, the mayor, accountable, for us to ask the tough questions and to focus it right where it's happening.
The board president sent a letter to the mayor with questions he plans to ask, including whether the mayor will stand up a sustained emergency operations center to coordinate efforts to address the drug crisis. In January of 2022, Mayor Breed launched the Tenderloin Emergency Initiative to combat drug addiction and homelessness, complete with facility located on UN Plaza. That center operated with mixed success for about a year.
Well, I would say that was not something where a consistent plan was followed through. The mayor declared a crisis, stood up a center, closed the center. The number of fentanyl deaths have increased since the center closed.
Supervisor Matt Dorsey frequently finds himself an ally of the mayor, but says the issue of opioid addiction is having a pronounced impact on his district. He says any way to highlight the issue and create dialogue is welcome.
This is unusual that the mayor and the Board of Supervisors will go out to a neighborhood to have a meeting, or at least start it and do Q&A. But we are in unprecedented times, and on no issue more than on drug overdoses and what's going on our streets.
Supervisor Dorsey says the drug crisis impacts the city on every level.
We have seen multiple businesses closed, citing the issues with public safety, and almost all of that comes back to drug scenes and acting on it.
Now, the big question is, will the mayor accept the invitation to speak with the board at UN Plaza at 2 p.m. on Tuesday? The mayor's office didn't have a prepared statement on tomorrow's meeting or the issues presented by the supervisors, but all indications are she will, in fact, make the short walk from City Hall to UN Plaza.
What I also found interesting is there was another report, also from UN Plaza, and a reporter was doing a stand-up. I couldn't find it. And somebody just brought out their crack pipe and stood right behind them. And it's like, they don't care.
No.
And of course, because they're not in their right minds, right? I mean, it's not hard to tell if you're high on whatever the hell you're doing that you don't care about blasting it to everybody. But I do find it frustrating that the mayor was trying to do something with that linkage center, but turned away from it. There was a lot of outcry, obviously a lot of money. Making it sustainable is a whole nother question, but it's a huge problem. And I don't know. I mean, do you guys think that she is oblivious? Do you think that she's not doing enough? I mean, what do you think it is that's the problem, and why people still don't feel like the city, or many people don't feel like the city is doing enough?
I think it's so pervasive that it's an uphill battle to climb.
Right.
And I was reading an article on SF Gate, which I just pulled up, and it says new San Francisco poll yields very grim findings for London Breed.
Oh.
More than half of respondents disapprove of the job she's doing. Nearly 3/4 of those surveyed feel the city is on the wrong track, and they think this is going to hurt her re-election chances come next year. It was done by Probolsky Research, which is a nonpartisan opinion and research firm. They talked to 300 likely voters in San Francisco in the month of April. They said an overwhelming majority were unhappy with Breed. Only 36% thought she was doing a good job. 60% had the opposite view. And the city, they say, is on the wrong track. And that really has to do with what you see when you walk through. People just openly doing drugs. But I don't know, what is she supposed to, I mean, she's working, she's requested help. She's working now with the CHP and the California National Guard.
Yep.
They're coming in, they're trying to clean up the Tenderloin, trying to clean up the open air drug trade in San Francisco. Tried to put in that linkage center in the, I don't know if it was the Tenderloin or if it was near Justin Herman Plaza. And people that went there said, I've heard people say, someone in our chat said, it was that they had gone there to looking for a child or something, or to look for someone. And it was just a place where people went to do drugs. It turned into one of those safe shoot up sites.
Right.
And so it wasn't really what it was meant to be at all. And so that didn't work out. So I mean, I don't know if anyone else could do any better. That's the question.
Well, yeah, it's like, what do you want to happen? I mean, you can't, and I'm just going to say this because I want to kind of get ahead of the likely comment that's going to come from some people. You cannot arrest your way out of a drug problem within the city. There's not enough. For the logistic reasons alone, there's just not enough jail beds. There's not enough space. And then you can't hold them forever. So you cannot use jails as drug rehab. It just doesn't work. And so if you can't do that because it doesn't work and logistically you don't have the space to do it, what do you want them to do? Now, I do like what do you call those? The people that are like helping out?
Outreach?
the outreach people, they're walking around, they're trying to
Yeah.
direct tourist places and kind of be helpful eyes and ears in neighborhoods, make people feel safer and things like that. I like that idea. I do feel like it's a bit of lipstick on a pig type of thing where, yes, they're standing there, but do the people that are doing the drugs and drug dealing care? Is it really, are we seeing any sort of reduction in the behavior from those that are the problem? I don't think so. Eric says, I think anybody in charge of San Francisco is doomed to fail. Too many different political forces pulling in opposite directions.
I think what they're trying to do is attack the source of the drugs. So going after drug dealers, even if the drug dealers are also the users.
Right.
And so if you disrupt the supply, then, the people that are on the streets trying to get the drugs won't be able to, and you won't have the same problem. But I think that's what they're trying to do right now. We'll see if it works.
Yeah. And then it's money. Beth saying there's not enough money in the city budget to solve the problems of drug and homelessness. There has to be, though. I mean, and the reason why I say there has to be is because everything else down in the budget is impacted by it. If you're trying to, let's say increase tax revenue, but businesses are leaving because of the homelessness and the drugs, you see, it's a cycle. So you have to make a huge investment in this. And again, I feel like it is money well spent, but it's being diluted because I feel like there's way too many different organizations fighting for the same pot of money. We do need to consolidate. It's too spread out. We're not paying the workers enough, the social workers, the homeless advocates enough. And there's too many organizations trying to get a piece of that pie. Al Anonymous says, invest in a weekend of 50 cops with drug sniffing dogs, plus another 100 cops as backup support, and then walk from East San Francisco to West San Francisco and nab them all up. Okay, so you arrest them all. How long do you think that you can keep somebody in jail for, let's say, drug possession? Not that long.
No.
You can't. And then where do they go when they're done? They do their time and they leave. That's the problem. Calvin, inconsistent plans and no way to measure progress and success. So she's ineffective and not reelected. Yeah, you do need to measure progress. I like that. I think that, even we just talk about homelessness. Remember how pissed off Governor Newsom was? He's like, I'm giving you guys how much money and we're going backwards? And he didn't want to give them any more money. And then they're like, wait. You can't take all the funding away. So it's hard. It is an uphill battle. It really, really is. Natalie says it's like the immigration problem. It's a terribly complex problem which can't be fixed in one term, but trying to even humanely address it is political suicide. That's an excellent point. Susan says some of the streets in San Francisco are gross. The smell of urine is overwhelming. However, a lot of cities have drug problems and they can only do so much with little government involvement. Yeah, absolutely. Look, the PR surrounding San Francisco is abysmal. The city of San Francisco can't change the narrative because, one, it's true. We do have a huge homeless and drug problem, but we fail to really instill in the rest of society that's looking at San Francisco that it's happening everywhere, right? I mean, it's not as if it's only happening in San Francisco, but if you ask probably a lot of people across the country, where are there open air drug markets? They will name one city at the top, and that'll be San Francisco. And then they'll blame Democratic policies for it. As if, Kentucky or Florida or the other red states don't have drug problems, poverty problems, and things like that. SF Tesla says once in a while they waft ambassadors for tourists in downtown San Jose. Plus, ever so slowly, the LED lit rickshaws are returning. Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean, it's really, and it is, and Vicky makes an excellent point. It's not about money. We're spending over $1 billion, but it's not effective use of our money. We've talked about it, how much they spend on tents for the homeless. It's too much money, too much bureaucracy, too many organizations, again, fighting for the same amount of money, a lack of real measurable goals, which, even though it's way too early to tell, was a platform point for our new mayor here in San Jose, Matt Mahan. He's like, I want to see progress. We have to go back to the basics, right? And so he's really trying to move quickly so we can see some progress. Now, jury's still out on all of it, but it does need to happen. It really, really does. Okay. We talk about drugs all the time, but what about social media? So the Surgeon General, pardon me, has come out with an advisory that social media is contributing to youth mental health crisis. Now, this is not new. We've talked about it. Some of the key takeaways of his advisory. 1, social media use by young people is nearly universal. And I'm so glad that they led with this, because I feel like parents or other people, just take away the phone, just take away the social media, just take away that interaction, whether it's a specific app or just having a phone in and of itself, right? It's nearly universal. Up to 95% of young people aged 13 to 17 report using a social media platform. Nearly 2/3 of teenagers report using social media every day. 1/3 report using it almost consistently. The Surgeon General found social media presents a meaningful risk of harm to youth while also providing benefits. So it matters the type of social media content that they're looking at. They found children and adolescents who spend more than 3 hours a day on social media face double the risk of mental health problems, including symptoms of depression and anxiety. This is concerning, as a recent survey found teens spend 3.5 hours a day on social media. And when asked about the impact of social media on their body image, 46% of adolescents said social media makes them feel worse. So they're calling for multifaceted effort, reducing the risk of harm to children. And so basically it's saying, you need to obviously talk to your kids about social media. Now, I know, Kim, you don't allow your children to have social media.
No.
And you're not going to allow them to use it till what? They're 18?
I don't know. I'm getting some pushback from Julia. She's 13.
Mm-hmm. That's the age that they start out with this warning, right?
She wants Instagram and Snapchat and all that.
Yeah, no. I don't have no Snapchat. No. And I know that, and TikTok's kind of going away. It's not so, what I find is the harder one, at least just for my kid, it's texting. It's back to texting.
Yeah. And that's what she says. I said, she wants all these things. And I said, well, why don't you just text people if you have something to say? Easy.
Yeah.
She rolls her eyes at me. But you see these studies over and over again where, especially teenage girls, that social media is really bad for their mental health.
Yeah.
That the rates of, depression and suicide are increased when girls have social media. Why would I want her to be in that position? No social media for her. No.
Yeah. I mean, my daughter would love to have Instagram, and I've said no to Instagram, although I told her, I'm like, you spend too much time on your phone as it is. So the number one way that I limit my kids' phone use is through screen time, right? So I control when and how long they can be on their phone. But the thing with the texting, and I don't know if Julie has experienced it or if anyone that's watching's kids experience it, it's the group chats and then being removed from group chats. That is very difficult to navigate with a child, right? It's all of a sudden I was on a group chat with a bunch of people, and now they're not using that group chat anymore, and nobody's including me on any texts. So not saying it doesn't matter, the social media platform or the app. It's talking to your kids about their phone and online behavior in all different sorts of ways, right? Whether they share pictures, sexting, those sorts of things. You have to talk to your kids about it. If my kid is and she has come, she's like, well, I sent out a text to the group thread and nobody's on that anymore. Or all of a sudden we've removed that person because we're not including that person in whatever activity that there is. That is a form of bullying. It is. And that is going to hurt kids' mental psyche. We just don't know what we're doing to these kids. It's a totally societal experiment that we've been doing, and not just with social media and kids, phones in general. Now, SF Tesla, the Chroming business is ridiculous on its face. My kids could not roll their eyes at me harder last night when I was reading this article in the New York Post. Headline reads, heartbroken family calling for action after 13-year-old's death from chroming. A 13-year-old girl died after inhaling dangerous chemicals from a deodorant can. Okay. I don't know. I'm assuming the chrome is just because of the can. She went to a friend's house. Her parents know the friend. They know who she's hanging out with. The parents say, we always knew where she was and we knew who she was with. It wasn't anything out of the ordinary. She's at a slumber party. We get a call in the middle of the night, and it was a call no parent ever wants to receive. And unfortunately, we got it. Come and get your daughter. Paramedics were working to revive the girl, Esra, at the scene. They said the teenager had been chroming, where chemicals and aerosol cans are inhaled for a quick high.
So that's the same thing that kids do with like whipped cream
Nitrous.
cans?
Yes, the nitrous.
Okay, I just have never heard it called chroming before.
I've never heard it be called chroming either.
Yeah.
And so I bring my kids in last night. I go, oh. And then like Dylan's sitting in front of me and I go, oh wait, I need to talk to you and your sister. And they always know. I'm like, line up in front of me right now. And I go, have you ever heard of chroming? And like, they're very confused. They kind of give me this confused face. And I always look at Marley first because she's on top of all this crap, right? And I go, chroming, and she's like, ugh. And she's like, what'd you read now? And I go, such my daughter. And I go, a 13-year-old has died because she was inhaling chemicals from a deodorant can. I'm like, can you believe this? And they're both, no, mom. Yeah, it's kind of like whippets and huffing and whatever. I'm going to go, please. I'm like, do not inhale things anywhere. Like, do not inhale anything from a can, from a whipped cream container. Do not do this. I'm like, please do not become a statistic because you see a bunch of things that are trending. So then my son, being the jokester that he is, goes and grabs a deodorant stick and like unrolls the whole entire thing. He's like, will I die if I eat it? And I'm like, not what I'm talking about, but yes, like do not. I'm like, it's poison. You cannot eat a whole entire stick of deodorant. I can't believe this sentence literally just came out of my mouth.
So all the stories like the one you're just reading, or something bad happened to this kid, or this kid died in this way, or this kid got in a stranger's car, this kid, whatever. My sister used to be in news, and we had this kind of running joke, but serious, that we were going to be printing out all these stories, and we would have a file of all the different ways that all the news stories that stuck with us where people got hurt. Yes. And so, if they wanted to go out to a party, we would go to the party file and pull out all the stories. Here's all the things I don't want you to do. Right. And here's why. Look what happened to this kid.
I won't ever stop. I don't care how stupid it sounds. You have to talk to kids about stupid things. Do you want to know why? My nightmare is there's one I missed. And then all of a sudden, my kid is peer pressure. And that's what I really talk to my kids about. I go, you guys really, peer pressure is a real thing. And peer pressure doesn't go away just because you reach a certain age, right? I mean, adults can be pressured into doing things and all sorts of things. But that's my thing. It's all of a sudden you're at a slumber party with your friends and everyone else is doing it. And I talked to my daughter and my son, but I was having this specific conversation with my daughter. I was like, look, what's going to happen though, is you're going to be in a situation in which somebody does something, whether it's swallowing a pill, snorting something, inhaling something, and they're okay. And so if they're okay, you doing it must mean it's okay. And I'm like, that's not necessarily the case. Your body can react a completely different way and you could die. Wes says if it was antiperspirant deodorant, those have aluminum in them, but I've never heard of it being called chrome. Maybe that's why it is. And Eric makes an excellent point. Aerosol deodorants are pretty bad for the environment. I wouldn't buy them for my son. Right, but a kid can go into a Rite Aid or something, hear about chroming, and buy an aerosol deodorant. I don't buy aerosol deodorants. I find it wasteful. Spraying all over the place. Seems messy. But these are the things that we need to talk to them about. Chris says whipped cream is filled with laughing gas, nitrous. Others are not. Yeah. So if you work at, for instance, Starbucks, if you ever see them put whipped cream, they have that white thing. They use nitrous in that, right? Yeah. So, thanks, Ricky. Now I'm going to sleep well at night. There's always one. There will always be one you miss, Nikki. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's totally helpful. Eric says, Nikki, just teach them common sense and trust that they know it's stupid when their quote unquote friends tell them to smack their hand with a hammer because it feels good to stop. Yeah, it's the whole, if they all jump off the bridge, are you going to jump off the bridge? But the problem is it seems harmless. Social media, back to social media, makes these things trend. They see it all the time and they're like, huh. Yeah. and their brains aren't developed and they're idiots. I mean, kids, the thing is, back in the day, you could be stupid and it didn't necessarily kill you, right? You could do stupid things and it didn't necessarily kill you. Sometimes it did. I'm not saying everything. But now it's with the chemicals and the drugs and all those things that are just out there, it's frightening. So I am not going to stop having, and I'm going to try to find them all. I really am. I hope I don't miss any, but you're right. I probably will. And hopefully I've taught them enough where they're going to look at it and be like, this sounds like something my mom would tell me is idiotic and not to do and not become a statistic. So please, that's one of the things I just don't want any of our children to become statistics. It's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. All right. We'll do a couple of headlines with Kim. When we come back, we'll touch on the debt ceiling because my favorite Congresswoman, Katie Porter, she put out a little clip yesterday on Twitter that I'm going to play for you, explaining the debt ceiling. And the thing that I love about her is she explains it to us like we're 4 years old. It's like, this is why the debt ceiling is what it is. Speaking about people who maybe huffed too many things when they were a kid, a Florida school has banned the poem that was read at President Biden's inauguration.
Why?
By Amanda Gorman. We'll get into that after. I mean, it was restricted, but that's a surprising thing. But I'll also surprise you on what led to it being banned. And this, again, is the problem in Florida. Kim McAllister had mentioned Ron DeSantis will likely be announcing that he's running for president. Did you hear what his slogan might be? So, I mean, I don't know if it's really going to be. I think it would be stupid if it was. But then again, it's him that we're talking about. And then finally, speaking of stupid, Marjorie Taylor Greene paid how much? How much? For McCarthy's used chapstick? Yes. Stupid is as stupid does, as they say. That's all coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And let's start in the Russian area this time around. An apparent attack on Russian soil by anti-Putin Russians who are fighting in support of Ukraine has happened. CNN is reporting residents of the settlements under attack in Russia's Belgorod region have now been resettled in other areas because of the fighting here. One civilian has died as a result of it. So that is underway in Russia. Again, an attack on Russian soil. The White House may be ruling out the possibility of President Biden invoking the 14th Amendment as a workaround to avoid default. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre telling reporters the move would not deal with the current problem of raising the debt ceiling, and efforts should be on getting Congress to act. The amendment says the validity of the public debt cannot be questioned, and some argue that it means the president could unilaterally continue to issue debt if Congress does not pass a bill to raise the debt limit. President Biden over the weekend said he believes he has the authority to use the amendment, but he said doing so could result in a drawn-out court battle. Negotiators from the White House and Speaker McCarthy's office are continuing to meet, try to come up with an agreement before June. Former President Trump's New York criminal case ahead to trial in March. The judge in the case set the trial date for March 25th of 2024, less than 3 weeks after the first Republican presidential primaries. It was Trump's first court appearance since he pleaded not guilty to all 34 felony counts last month related to alleged hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. An abortion bill, is now awaiting the signature of Nevada's Republican Governor Joe Lombardo. Bill was passed by the state assembly on Monday in Nevada. It would protect doctors from prosecution and professional consequences for performing an abortion, and it would guarantee several other abortion-related protections as well. Florida lawmakers are sending a bill to Governor Ron DeSantis' desk that aims to clarify the state's resign to run law. This is interesting. Florida law currently requires an elected state official to resign before running for federal office. SB 7050 was passed by state lawmakers last month, but not sent to the governor's desk until today, the day before DeSantis is expected to announce his run for the White House. Multiple reports say DeSantis will announce his candidacy during a Twitter Spaces conversation with Elon Musk on Wednesday night. The Florida law would not go into effect until July 1st. Do you think lawmakers should have to resign one job before they run for the next?
I understand why there could be a call for it. Yeah. I mean, it makes so for instance, if you really want the job, then you should be focused on that. If you're focused on running, then you're not really focused on the job that you currently have, right?
Well, one would think so, but and does it ever make you mad or upset when you've just voted for someone for one
Mhm.
thing and then all of a sudden they turn around and they're running for higher office? It's like, they're not really running to be a public servant or for you, they're running for their own ego.
And they're going to be distracted. Yeah, exactly. They're going to be distracted with running a campaign is very time consuming. It takes all of your attention. So yeah. And be committed to one thing or another. If you're committed to, let's just say, being governor, be committed to governor. And then when you're done or you're nearing the end of your term, so you're not running again, then you can kind of transition, but not in the middle of it. Not when you can continue doing your job. No, I don't think so.
HIV. The United States seeing fewer HIV infections. The CDC reported Tuesday 2021 saw just over 32,000 new HIV infections. It was a 12% drop from 2017. New infections in 13 to 24-year-olds dropped by a third. The CDC noting younger people between the ages of 16 and 24 have taken more precautions to prevent infections, and that is what helped drive the decrease. The days of Netflix allowing people to share passwords coming to an end. It is party over. The streamer started emailing customers today about its new password policy. Netflix says the email will be sent to members in the United States who have been sharing their accounts outside of their household. I don't know how they know. I mean, I think they could
I
probably
think it's the IP address or whatever, right?
But how do they know that I didn't just go over to your house and watch something?
Exactly. So something happened to me last week. So we got a new television and it's a smart TV. And I thought I did something wrong. So I have Hulu. And then all of a sudden, when I was trying to go on Hulu Live on my new smart TV, it was telling me that my change of home location or whatever, I'd used all 4 of my yearly chances. And I hadn't done it at all. I mean, I'm home. Why would I have to change it? And so I called them and they told me, they're like, well, have you used your Hulu at another house? And I had been at my parents' house but I'm like, I don't even think I used Live. I think I just watched something that was on my streaming library. Like it didn't have anything to do with the Live. What she told me was, and I don't know if this is just specific to Xfinity, but she says that sometimes if there's some sort of power outage or something like that, it'll change the IP address and then it'll make it look like I'm not at home. So I don't know if maybe Netflix is trying to scare people. I guess we'll see if I get an email or a message from somebody. So we'll see.
This report is crowdfunded. That means we have to rely on you. You can find...
We have to afford our Netflix accounts, people. Come on.
We do. We really do. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal links at theNikkiMedoroShow.com. And of course, you got the super chat or super stickers live here on YouTube. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
That's funny. Yes. And let's say thank you to Wes, who kicked us down a $10 donation on our super live. Simon says, up your Patreon. Thank you, Wes. Yes, if you can afford it, and I know that money's tight, you got to pay for now Netflix or whatever. But it is a subscription that is monthly, and I hope you get something out of being here with us on the show. So if you can, please consider becoming a Medorable because we would appreciate it so much. All right. So let's get into, let me take that off the screen. Okay. So the debt ceiling. We keep hearing talks are productive, but there's been no deal, right? There's no deal. There's no, I don't know who's going to blink first. It is up to Congress. This is Congress's job is to deal with the debt ceiling. Okay. So once again, I don't feel like people fully understand that this was done, I think, 3 times under former President Trump, that they raised the debt ceiling without being all up in arms about it. Now it's Biden, of course, and they don't want to give him any sort of win. And so they are making it clear by not wanting to raise the debt ceiling. Well, Congresswoman Katie Porter, who is, I'm a huge fan of her. And I'm a huge fan of her because she explains things in ways that we understand and can apply to our own lives, has put out a video where she's talking about the debt ceiling. And I just want to play it for you in its entirety.
So let's say my credit card company has given me a card that allows me to buy everything I could ever possibly want. But because I'm fiscally responsible, I'm going to create a debt ceiling for myself. It's modeled on Congress. I am getting my debt. I'm going to set my personal debt ceiling at $1,000. I don't want more than $1,000 of debt. I want to be fiscally responsible. No matter how much my credit card company is willing to loan me because of my stellar credit card history. So I go to the store and I have a lot I need to buy for my family. I fill my cart to the top. I get to the front of the store and I ring up $500. I look at the bill. I reach for my card. I worry because I know I've already spent probably $1,000 in the last few weeks because of an ER visit, braces for my daughter. Dr. Edelberg, will my credit card company respect my personal $1,000 debt ceiling, or will this transaction go through?
The transaction will go through.
I hate to disrespect my debt ceiling, but my kids have to eat. They need their school supplies. Their feet keep growing. So I swipe the credit card. The charge goes through. Now, fast forward. My credit card bill arrives. It's more than my $1,000 debt ceiling. I call up my credit card company and I tell them, I've exceeded my debt ceiling. I'm not going to pay back the $500 above my debt ceiling, even though I've already spent it, even though my kids have already eaten the food, worn the clothes. Dr. Edelberg, will my credit card company accept this, my personal debt ceiling, as an excuse for why I'm not paying my bills?
They will consider you in default.
So my lender expects to be repaid no matter what I set as my debt ceiling. If I decide to stick with my debt ceiling and I do default, you said they'll consider me in default, what's going to happen to me?
They'll lower your credit limit. They'll raise your interest rate. They might even cancel the card.
So I really have no choice here as a consumer, as a mom, to suspend my $1,000 debt ceiling and pay off the debt that I've taken. Buy the ticket, take the ride. I did the spending. I've got to pay it back.
There you go, people. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. And I love how Katie Porter does stuff like that because people understand it that way. Now, Kevin McCarthy is going to try to sell it to you as, no, we have to live within our means. Well, it's a little late, right? It's a little late because we've already done the spending. And so, they're going to try to grandstand and do all sorts of things on, that we're being fiscally irresponsible. The thing is, we need to raise the debt ceiling. We need to pay our bills because the consequences are it's bad for the United States. It's bad for our international credit rating. It's we don't want to default. And it's dangerous that we keep playing this game year after year after year.
Wasn't the time to fight against spending when all the money was being spent?
Yes.
When Trump was spending on this and that and the other, or Biden or whoever was in office at the time.
Yes, exactly.
When our, spending was going up and up and up and Congress was voting, yeah, sure, go ahead, spend that money. Wasn't because they control the purse strings, right? So wasn't it those moments, all of those moments where they could have stood up and said, you know what? We really can't afford to do this. We really are going to have to pay the piper come June, and we can't do it. In 2 years, we're going to get caught with a bill on this. So why weren't they fighting then? It's all political now.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And Randy's kind of saying the same thing. If I was Biden, I'd tell McCarthy to go F himself and deal with all of this during the budgeting appropriations process. Yeah. Exactly. Now, I will say this. I'm sure there are Republicans during the budget and appropriation process that said, we can't afford to do this. But they didn't have the votes. And so it went through. You see? So Yeah, I get that there are people saying, I'm upset about this, but you lost the battle. It was spent. Now we have to pay our bills. Yeah, and Eric's, it's purely political. They want to make Biden look as bad as possible. But I feel like if people listen to Katie Porter, they would understand that this is just political grandstanding. We need to pay our bills. Lori says that's why they're trying to tie it to future spending cuts. Maybe that's not such a bad idea. Possibly, but it's what they want to cut, right? It's where they want to cut from in the future, which are no-goes for President Biden. And again, this is not the time to fight that battle. This is not where we do it. Just you have to raise the debt ceiling, pay your bills, and then fight another day. That's how it works.
This is not the time to say, it's okay to spend the money on what we want to spend it on, but not on what Democrats want to spend it on. This is not the time to, tit for tat over who's spending what on what. This is a time to say the United States has an obligation to pay our debt, and we do. What happens if the United States says, I'm sorry, we're not going to pay you?
Yeah.
If they trump out, somebody's done the work, and we all of a sudden say, I'm sorry, we don't think it's worth it. We can't pay that. No, we're not paying.
It's ridiculous. And we do this. Now it's become like an annual thing. The debt ceiling. We should not be out on the verge of default so often as a country. But they're using this now. Similar to the way Congress can't seem to agree on legislation for the entire country. So they keep bringing things to the U.S. Supreme Court, which is not the way it was supposed to work. Congress is supposed to legislate. But they don't want to take the political risks of compromising across the aisle. And so many things end up before the Supreme Court that it's become politicized. Beth says the hostage situation is being used by the minority in Congress to remove items that were passed. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't like it, so we're not going to pay our bills. It's stupid. Randy, you can't cut enough to balance the budget. The things that we still need in this country, right, to keep it going. Look, would it be great if we could? Would it be great if, we didn't have a huge budget deficit? Of course. But we also like certain things. James says, I wouldn't underestimate the willingness of some Republicans to crash the dollar. This would be a huge win for Putin. In the long term, I think Biden will be blamed. Biden's already being blamed for the sunsetting of Trump's tax cuts. The ones that were for the low and middle class, but not for the rich because those were permanent. And we knew it when Trump's thing was passed, when it would sunset. And of course, it was during the Biden administration. And it's all because if he won another term as president, he'd just extend it. And if he lost, then it'll fall on Biden. Pay attention, people. Pay attention. Eric says the cuts the Republicans want will hurt their base. The base doesn't care. Look, the base, these red states, these poor red states, they say, oh, you got to pull yourself from your bootstraps and we don't want to be a welfare state. Our welfare states, they take more money than they give back. We give more money to the federal government, and yet California is often held up as these people that are just, all these liberal that just want to give everybody everything. You guys are taking the money. Calvin says McCarthy wants all departments to cut like 13%, yet double the defense budget. Also, no tax increase despite wealthy permanent tax cut by Trump. Exactly. It's not like they want to re-examine the tax plan that the Republicans passed. No. It's not like they'll go back to the drawing board with that, right? No. If they really cared. Randy says all those Republican supporters will feel differently when their Social Security checks don't show up. And then they can't get any medical services because Medicare isn't paying out. Exactly. But never underestimate also people that will vote against their own interests just for political reasons. Yep. Cindy, and Trump tax cuts for billionaires while restoring working class tax cuts. They would, except they're not trying to help the middle class. Karen, don't take assistance from the people who need it most. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It really does. But again, like Katie Porter said, and somebody else had said earlier, why can't they explain it? Why can't Biden or the press secretary explain it as well as Katie Porter does? Exactly. That's why I want her. Like, she has my vote to replace Feinstein. I like Katie Porter. I really do. I think that she's different. She explains things to people. And yeah, I do think that her being a single mom gives her a perspective that I think can often be missed, right? It can be. Yep, Vicky, those Trumpers will vote against their own interests. You're right, Nikki. I know. I mean, they don't see it. They're blinded because they're in a cult. And I don't say that jokingly. They are. If you're a huge Trump supporter, you're in a cult. Hands down. Hands down. You ignore things that go against your own interest, or actually you don't. You know that they are protecting you. Like Dave Chappelle always made that joke. He's like, he doesn't care about you low middle class people. He cares about me, the rich people. He's working for the rich people, and he tells you to your face, and you just don't believe it. You think he's fighting for the little guy because he says it like it is. Whatever. Now, if you want to talk about people misspending money, my final upbeat story of the day that I know you guys have heard of is I cannot believe how much Marjorie Taylor Greene paid for McCarthy's chapstick. I know I saw it earlier. So
she bought his chapstick?
So here's the story. Hold on. I want to show you the picture because I want you to lose your lunch. Okay. So apparently they were doing some sort of fundraiser. Here it is. There she is. There's the chapstick. So House Republicans held a conference this morning, which consisted of a 15-minute fundraising auction for McCarthy's used chapstick.
Gross.
Marjorie Taylor Greene won the auction with a bid of, has anyone put it in the comments yet? 500. Nope. How much? And Natalie, if you're still here, don't say it because I think you were the one that had the right answer earlier.
Did she pay $1,000 for that?
More. CBD chapstick, lol. It is gross. That's how you get cold sores, by the way. Don't share your chapstick with people. $20,000? That is way too low.
What?
70? No. Marjorie Taylor Greene spent $100,000. $100,000 on used chapstick from Kevin McCarthy.
That's really gross.
Apparently, a lot of people were bidding on it. Marjorie Taylor Greene won. Apparently, McCarthy sweetened the deal by throwing in an agreement to attend a dinner with donors or supporters of whoever wins. So maybe she really wanted that more than I think she wanted the chapstick. She's an odd duck. That is gross.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, but again, these are the people that claim that they're fiscally responsible. Now it's her own money. She could do with it as she wants to, right? I'm assuming it better not be a tax write-off, damn it. But yeah, $100,000. I love this one, Jim. Sounds like mafia money being cleaned, right? Like, yeah, I spent $100,000 on used chapstick. It was great. Yeah, it's totally gross. I love Calvin though. Speaker McCarthy, not Paul McCartney. Yes, it was McCarthy, not McCartney. It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand, this sort of thing. But again, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene decided to spend $100,000 on because she has all of your best interests at heart. I don't get it. I absolutely don't get it. All right. Tomorrow, programming note, right at the start of the show, probably like around 12:10-ish, I'll be bringing in Loretta Lynch. And we're going to be talking about PG&E. I've been wanting to get her on. She's had some family situations that have cropped up, but she's going to come on with us tomorrow. We're going to talk about those rate hikes. And I want her take because she's excellent at reading between the lines and she'll give it to us straight. Like, it is this, it's not this. And also, I want to talk to her about the number of power lines that are being buried in Sonoma County versus Napa County. And it's a huge difference. Have you heard the ads from PG&E now? Oh, we knew that it was going to be great. It would reduce the chance of fires and disasters. And yeah, we knew this. We were telling you guys to do this for years and you would never do it because it was too cost ineffective. Well, a couple explosions and wildfires. And now we see what that cost ineffective move means. So yeah, Loretta Lynch will join us tomorrow. So please join the show. Before we go though, please make sure you click that thumbs up button to show support. YouTube loves it, which means We love it here on the Nikki Medoro Show. Again, thank you to Wes for the super donation, and a great message to all of you. Please up your Patreon if you can. It's a simple way of doing it. Just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com, the NikkiMedoroShow.com. Our Patreon link is there. It gives us some consistent income to do this show for you guys, and we love being here, and we want it to continue. If you like PayPal, the NikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com is the email address to use, and you can find all of that on the NikkiMedoroShow.com website. All right, until tomorrow, guys, have a great one. We'll talk tomorrow. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.